Hi everyone, in this video I'll be discussing buying or building an LS engine for my Factory 533 hot rod. Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel about building a kit car and other car topics. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the notification buttons below and share with others on social media. To build or to buy, that is the question. To answer this, I went out and bought some books. These books give you a great insight to how the engine was conceived, what vehicles have them, all the different generations, what parts are swappable between all the different models. With these books and some extra online research, it was the only way to submerge myself and start getting a feel for what I need. I have here How to Build High Performance. This book is great for everything I just mentioned. History, difference between models, charts, and then how to bolt on power to this engine and what the average results are when you do. Then I have LS Swaps. This is a great book for wiring, fuel systems, and it lets you know what you need to do a swap. It's a cool read, but it really does not apply to my situation, so this didn't really help me a lot. Then I found How to Rebuild. Now, this was the key. When I research things, I am a searcher and not a browser. And so when you're typing in one term, you could be missing out on the data you actually need. And in this case, how to build and how to rebuild came up with drastically different results. And it took me a while to find the term rebuild. And the term rebuild gave me this book. And it is a step-by-step, blow-by-blow of how to rebuild an LS engine. It is a rebuilding manual with over 600 pictures and steps and everything you could ever want in a book. Now let's talk about buying versus building. Now, when we think about the car I'm building, it's a sexy, cool hot rod, kind of chopped with a sloped grill. If I pop in a modern Corvette engine, it might not fit the aesthetic that I'm going for. Imagine I buy this engine brand new for around $7,000. Now I have to replace the intake, the valve covers, maybe the throttle body and some other things to make it look more vintage, or at least not Corvette-ish. That might add up to $12,000 when all said and done. And it seems to me it might be easier to build an engine and add all those parts on so you have a $7,000 engine that looks exactly how you want it. It is something to think about when I'm on a budget. Now, if I was building a GTM kit, I could get a used Corvette engine or a brand new LS engine and pop it right in. It fits the look and the part. And, maybe you want to add some chrome or do something like that. That's totally cool. But budget-wise, I think building is the way to go. And I really want to get my hands dirty and start on something with the car. So let me show you some cost. I have LQ4 rebuild, LS3 new, LS6 rebuild, and LS3 cruise and connect, which is the whole thing, kit and caboodle, wiring harness, transmission, trans controller, the whole thing. So these are all kind of comparable as we go through here. So LQ4 engine, maybe I could get one for $1,000. That would be awesome. We'll see if that's actually true. We want the hot cam kit because we want that big loping, rough idle type manly street machine. Now the LQ4 is the truck engine version, which has this nasty looking air intake on top. So we want to get rid of that, and I'm just going to make this comparable to all the other Corvette engines, even though I'll probably go vintage in the future, but I just want to get some even costs going on here. So we would get maybe a used LS6 intake, and you can see these are all the serial numbers of what is a valid LS6 intake, and they're running around $675, and that's probably the intake with the injectors and everything all used, put together. We're looking at a throttle body that's drive-by-wire, so that means it's electronical throttle body and not an actual cable pulling it open and close. So we got 175 there. Now, my car is so low to the ground that even if you bought a brand new Corvette engine, well, actually, when you buy the brand new engines from GM Crate Performance, it's not necessarily going to drop into a Corvette. You have to change the oil pan for a very sleek, low fitting oil pan. So that way it's not dragging on the ground or hitting the frame of your car. So the 302-2 is the right oil pan for that. That's $375, which is a crazy amount of money for just an oil pan. The Hooker exhaust manifolds, that is specific to what's going to fit off of my engine for my car. And so I have to get those. So that's $475. And then from a lot of suggestions, I was told that, I should get the Monster rebuilt transmission 4L65E, and that's around $1,500, and then go to Roadrunner Converters and get a 32 to 3500 stall. If you don't get that high of a stall on the car is so light that you'll put your foot on the brake pedal and that engine will just keep wanting to go. And everybody's like, well, that's way too high of a stall. We'll put in a 2000. And they have problems braking and actually stopping the car. So I'll go with what the factory actually tells me I should go with, and that would be this. Now, I kept seeing this transmission installation kit on the GM Performance site, and I never knew what that was, and it was like $200 or something. And I finally figured out that I don't actually need that for the kit. I'm just zeroing those out. I didn't delete this just because I got so many things in the spreadsheet. Lockhart automatic trans shifter. So it's basically the handle that's going to shift the transmission. I don't know exactly which handle yet, but the approximate price is $250. The PSI computer tune. So I'm going to go with a PSI wiring harness, and they offer a unlocking tune for the car. You could do that, which is, I want to say, around $150. But if you're going to have a professional tune anyways, then you're kind of throwing your money away. So there's no reason to do that. So I could go with this, which is about $250, but I'm assuming I'm going to get it professionally tuned. So I just kept this the same name, and I'm calling it $600, which is what a local tech would charge to tune your car. The wiring harness that controls the LS engine, that's around $600. Fuel system, I'm not really sure yet. I know it's not cheap, so I just threw $400 in there. Engine tech work. So this could be, as I'm showing here, $40 for this, $60 for this, $150 this, $40 for this. But I was talking to my local engine shop, and they could do everything, including all the parts and stuff, so I don't have to separately buy the piston kits and all the seals, and it's all just going to come together. And that was around $1,800. That also includes my hot cam and the springs that you got to change out when you change the cam. So a lot of stuff is just thrown into that number. So it seems totally high, but I don't think it actually is at this moment, or at least we'll say it's being done right. So and then push rods, I think that was not included in that initial estimate because I was going to try maybe to reuse the old ones, but that's a bad idea. Always change your push rods. More expensive than I thought it'd be, but is what it is. High performance oil pump, you definitely want that engine to be flowing. Knock sensor, I don't know if I'm going to need knock sensors or whatever, and I'm just assuming they're around $50. I'm not really sure, and there might be like 3 or 4 of them, so that could be $200-$300. It could be $50, $10, $25 each. I'm not sure. It's something I haven't really gotten into yet since I don't have an engine to actually know what the part number is. Spark plugs, $65. Some new wires for the spark plugs, $100. And then the drive system. So the March Performance drive system seems to be the coolest one that I've found yet, where even if you want it chromed or polished aluminum or anything like that, they still do a clear powder coat on top of it. So you don't have to buff this thing out. You don't have to polish it all the time. You don't have crap all over it. It's not going to oxidize. It's sealed. And so even if you go with a black or whatever color you want, it's sealed under there. A lot of these other companies, they're kind of assuming you're going to be a show car only. And so this car's never going to be driven, and here's a nice billet aluminum that's all going to oxidize and you have to polish all the time. I don't want to polish all the time. I just want to drive my frickin' car and enjoy it, or have it as a show car and not be polishing it every other week to show it off. So for me, this seems to be the right system. And I found out that the water pump is included with that system. So that's why the water pump is zeroed out here on top. So all that being said, we're coming out around $11,000 and higher than I want it to be. Now, the one thing I will say is if you want to do a cheap LS build, you can. If you got something under 100,000 miles and you know that it has good compression test when you get the used engine, all you have to do is change your oil pump, which is $105. You'll probably have to change the oil pan to fit your build or swap or whatever you're doing. So that's $300-400. A few of the like oil pickup tube O-rings, the timing chain, which is only like 35 to $50. And that's about it. So you could buy an engine for, let's say $2,000 or $3,000, and then just switch about $500 worth of stuff on it and call it a day. Clean it up, paint it if you want, or just clean it up and drop it in. And that way, at least it's safe, it's running and things are going to be going well. So what we're talking about here is more of, we're not going show car yet. I mean, the March Performance is show car, so $2,200. We're moving in the direction towards show car. So this is a little bit different, but right now, $11,000. So let's kind of jump over to the next one. Next one is the LS3. So if we bought that engine new with the hot cam, throw in the monster transmission, so we're still getting a rebuilt transmission, converter. We don't need the installation. We still need the special oil pan. I wish they came with that oil pan, but they don't. So that's just how it is. Still need my manifolds, my shifter. Now we need the engine controller kit. This comes with the computer, the electronic gas pedal, all that kind of stuff included. $1,400. And another March Performance drive system. So these engines, when you buy them from the factory, they don't come with a drive system. You have to put your own on. So now we're at $14,000. If I had a lot of money, I would go this route. That's also now assuming that you want the Corvette or LS intake look. You have coil packs mounted to your valve covers, which are super ugly. And so that's why, like in Corvettes, you have this little cover that goes over the top of the engine to cover all that stuff. So, again, this isn't the perfect engine. You might buy it for $14,000, but then you have to add this, this, and this, and this, and now you're at 17. So, but we're just doing apples to apples right now. My initial build that I did back here, this is just to get it to this look and status, not to get it to a vintage status or anything like that. So let's look at this. So now we're looking at LS6. If I bought it used, rebuilt it, so the same $1,800, all the other things that I need, blah, 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 March Performance system. Now we're at 14. So way better to go with the newer LS3 than it is to rebuild an LS6. There's just no reason to do it. And that's just because your starting cost on an LS6 is a lot higher because it's deemed a Corvette engine used or whatever. And then the last one here is the LS3 Connect and Cruise. So this means turnkey with transmission, all your wiring, pedals, the whole thing. You can still get it with the hot cam. So this is technically a 6.2 liter engine. Comes with the hot cam. You're getting a brand new GM 4L70E transmission. So that adds to it. And once you pop that all in, get your torque converter. And I'm not getting a used torque converter or a third-party torque converter. I'm getting one just from GM, so it's all turnkey. A little bit more expensive. It's not $300, it's $900. All the control kits, shifter, still have to put your drive system, March Performance, and now we're at about 16. Actually, I think this is wrong. This is 74 or somewhere in that range. So now we're looking at 16.5 for this engine. So mean machine, totally awesome engine, but super expensive. So that kind of, you know, gives you an idea. I'm in the budget range, so this is more of where I'm going to be, and we'll see how it goes when I get there. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.